Hey everyone, I'm back with another update. In this episode, I'll cover the Syrian president's visit to the White House, the government shutdown, and Trump's attendance of the Washington Commanders game. Of course, I'll end with the noteworthy tidbits. The new president of Syria, Ahmed Hussein al-Shara, visited the White House for an historic meeting with President Trump. This marked the first such visit by any Syrian head of state since Syria's independence from France in 1946. Al-Shara has been working to normalize relations with the United States after years of isolation under the Assad regime. He and President Trump discussed lifting remaining U.S. sanctions, including the Caesar Act, Syria's integration into the U.S. led coalition against ISIS, economic cooperation, and regional stability. Trump pledged support for Syria's reconstruction and waived most sanctions for 180 days. This event signals a major diplomatic thaw in U.S. Syria relations, with potential for further engagement on counterterrorism and reconstruction. On to the government shutdown. Late on Sunday night, the Senate voted 60 to 40 to advance a short term continuing resolution to fund the government through January 2026. This breakthrough came after weakened negotiations where one independent and 8 Democrats, including Dick Durbin, Angus King, Maggie Hassan, Jeannie Shaheen, Catherine Cortez Masto, Jackie Rosen, John Fetterman, and Tim Kaine, broke rank to join Republicans, providing the 60 votes needed to overcome a filibuster. The deal, brokered by Senators Shaheen, Hassan, and King, excluded immediate Affordable Care Act subsidy extensions, but included a Republican commitment for a Senate floor vote on the subsidies by mid-December, once the government is open. The FAA's air traffic controller shortages, due to unpaid workers calling out, led to over 2,100 flight cancellations nationwide that day, with airlines bracing for more chaos. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy publicly urged controllers to return to work and noted offers of military reserve assistance from Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. Food banks reported a 20% surge in demand, and legal battles over November SNAP payments continued, with the Trump administration appealing court orders to release full benefits. On November 10th, the 41st day of the shutdown, the Senate passed the bipartisan CR by a 60 to 40 vote, attaching full-year funding for sectors like agriculture, military construction, Veterans Affairs, and the legislative branch. This measure would reopen non-essential government operations immediately upon House approval and presidential signature. The bill also promised to rehire any fired federal workers from the shutdown start. The bill has now moved to the House, scheduled for a vote as early as today, with expectations of swift passage. Trump praised the deal as very good and pledged $10,000 bonuses for air traffic controllers who worked without pay, while urging absentees to quit or return. The FAA announced further restrictions on private flights at major airports to ease strain. Democrats highlighted the December subsidy vote as a majority win, though progressives criticized the compromise. Markets rallied on reopening hopes, with the S&P 500 futures up 0.8% and Nasdaq futures up 1.3%. SNAP benefits remained in limbo pending court rulings, and healthcare subsidies were deferred. The shutdown's total cost was estimated in billions, including lost productivity and economic ripple effects. Let's switch to the Antifa attack at UC Berkeley. A Turning Point USA event was being held at UC Berkeley, and Antifa members attacked people in attendance. They encircled a TPUSA merchandise table selling Freedom t-shirts commemorating Charlie Kirk, and one protester, if you can even call them that, threw a shirt to the ground, sparking a brawl between the individual and a TPUSA supporter. The TPUSA supporter sustained facial injuries severe enough to cause significant bleeding, and he was escorted away by police. Reports vary on the total number affected, with some sources noting several injured from broader clashes involving flares, smoke bombs, broken glass, and attempts to breach barriers. 3 arrests occurred, and no serious injuries to protesters or police were reported. Protesters and/or Antifa members chanted anti-TPUSA slurs like "fuck your dead homie," blocked exits, and hurled objects at attendees, and attendees had to rush inside the event for their own safety. Despite all the violence from people who are basically the scum of the earth, the sold-out indoor event with speakers Rob Schneider and Dr. Frank Turek proceeded without disruption. Police in riot gear formed barricades, but critics noted a delayed response. Shifting to the Washington Commanders game. President Trump attended the Washington Commanders home game against the Detroit Lions, marking the first time a sitting U.S. president has appeared at a regular season NFL game since Jimmy Carter in 1978. The event coincided with the NFL's Salute to Service initiative honoring military personnel and veterans. Trump arrived via Air Force One, which performed a dramatic flyover above the stadium shortly before kickoff, drawing attention from fans and media. Trump was accompanied by Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and met with Commanders owner Josh Harris before the game. Hegseth also participated in an on-field military ceremony. As part of the salute to the service events, Trump, with Hegseth standing beside him, administered the oath of enlistment to new military recruits on the field, reading the oath aloud while they repeated it. The moment was broadcast nationally, but overshadowed by the crowd's boos, sparking backlash online for disrespecting the service members. In the third quarter, Trump joined the Fox Sports broadcast booth with announcers Kenny Albert and Jonathan Vilma. He provided brief commentary, praising backup quarterback Marcus Mariota and discussing the team's future, including their planned return to a new D.C. stadium at the RFK site. Josh Harris presented President Trump with a 47 jersey, and as he departed, Trump handed a presidential challenge coin, a military honor token, to a young boy in the crowd, a moment captured on video and shared widely as a positive highlight. Now it's time for the noteworthy tidbits, which are brought to you today by Quantum Energy Square. Let me tell you about them quick. Sometimes I need a boost before my bike ride, but pounding an energy drink or coffee beforehand just isn't an option. What I love about Quantum Energy Squares is that they're made with 10 grams of plant protein and 100 milligrams of natural caffeine, equal to an 8-ounce cup of coffee. I get the boost I need without having to drink fluids that weigh me down or cause a pit stop during my ride. They have over 2,500 reviews with customers raving about their delicious flavors like caramel almond sea salt and my favorite, dark chocolate pink Himalayan salt. My discount code gives you 25% off your entire order, and it's currently the best deal available. Just visit quantumsquares.com and enter in my promo code JADE, that's JADE, at checkout. All right, let's get back to the tidbits. President Trump nominated John Cole as the United States Special Envoy to Belarus, and Trump said in this announcement that Cole has already successfully negotiated the release of 100 hostages in Belarus and is now aiming for an additional 50. It's been confirmed that George Soros spent $600,000 on a left-wing pro-crime district attorney, resulting in a lack of prosecutions in Memphis, Tennessee. Assistant Attorney General Harmeet Dillon was made aware of potential anti-white hiring discrimination in Baltimore after a man named David was hired as Deshaun despite reducing his listed work experience by 15 years. President Trump exposed that around 100,000 trees in the Amazon rainforest were destroyed to make way for environmentalists at the United Nations, pointing out how hypocritical it is for environmentalists to destroy the rainforest to build a highway. Greg Abbott is running for re-election as governor of Texas. Federal Housing Director Bill Pulte announced that the 50-year mortgage will be just one solution for affordable housing, and that relief is coming for 5, 10, and 15-year mortgages to improve affordability as well. President Trump pardoned Rudy Giuliani, Mark Meadows, and dozens of others who were targeted by Democrats in the government after the 2020 election, and the Department of Justice is working on freeing Tina Peters and Ed Martin. New York Governor Kathy Hochul said she cannot approve Zohran Mamdani's free bus plans or plans to tax the rich because, in her words, I cannot set forth a plan right now that takes money out of a system that relies on the fares of the buses and subways. The U.S. Supreme Court rejected an effort to overturn gay marriage. 6 more narco-terrorists were killed in another lethal military strike in the Eastern Pacific. Health and Human Services Secretary RFK Jr. is removing broad black box warnings for menopause therapies, and he explained that millions of women were told to fear the very therapy that could have given them strength and dignity through one's life's most difficult transitions, and for more than 2 decades, the American medical establishment turned its back on women. The Olympics has plans to ban transgender athletes from women's events upon discovering scientific evidence of advantages to being born male. Congressman Chip Roy confirmed the Muslim Brotherhood is actively infiltrating Texas in a bid to control the state government. Assistant Attorney General Harmeet Dillon is pushing to ensure mail-in ballots must be received on Election Day to be counted, and the case will soon be heard by the Supreme Court. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett demanded all 50 states abolish Dominion voting machines, explaining that she believes Republicans will use them to cheat. Isn't it interesting that this is an acceptable demand when it's coming from a Democrat, yet it's criticized and scorned when it comes from a Republican? Hypocrisy at its finest. 2 prosecutors in the Southern District of Florida abruptly resigned after being asked to take part in a conspiracy investigation related to the Trump-Russia 2016 hoax. President Trump asked the Supreme Court to reverse the ruling that found him liable for sexually abusing E. Jean Carroll. The Trump administration arrested an illegal alien who had been illegally given a commercial driver's license in Michigan. Many people are calling for active duty military to be deployed to Chicago, as gangs in Chicago have ordered their members to shoot federal agents on sight, and police arrested an illegal alien in connection to the shooting on federal immigration agents in Chicago from over the weekend. Despite all the violence against ICE agents, over 200,000 Americans have now applied to work for ICE. President Trump confirmed that a $2,000 dividend check will be paid to all low and middle income people from tariff revenue, but Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said the tariff rebates may instead come in the form of tax cuts. Trump said that whatever is left over from those $2,000 payments will be used to pay down the national debt, and he revealed that if the Supreme Court strikes down his sweeping tariffs, America must pay back over $2 trillion. The BBC's new CEO and Director General resigned after being exposed for deceptively editing President Trump's January 6th speech. It was edited to look as though Trump said, "to fight like hell," where he actually said, "cheer on congressmen." Others with the BBC have resigned over this as well, and President Trump sent a legal letter threatening the BBC with a lawsuit. That's all I have for today. I'll be back with another update soon. Until then, please like, subscribe, and share this podcast, and follow me on Instagram and X at Shades of Jade Pod. Thank you for listening and have a great day.